October 14, 1960, an elderly World War II veteran stood at a Memphis grocery store checkout, counting pennies and nickels, trying to afford a few basic items. Elvis Presley was in line behind him. What happened next showed the difference between celebrity and character. By October 1960, Elvis Presley was among the most recognized figures in America. He had recently completed his military service and returned to everyday life. His films were smashing records at the box office, and his songs topped the charts. Wherever he appeared, crowds sought autographs, photos, or just a glimpse. Yet, in one quiet spot in Memphis, Elvis could blend in somewhat normally. The locals knew him, but respected his privacy. It was a modest neighborhood grocery store close to Graceland, a place he'd frequented long before fame arrived. The employees saw him as the courteous young guy who always said please and thank you, who assisted older shoppers with high-shelf items, and who never skipped the line just because he was famous. On this particular Friday night, Elvis stopped by for weekend essentials. Nothing extravagant, just everyday necessities. Dressed casually in jeans and a plain shirt, he made no effort to hide. He didn't need to here. The cashier on duty, Dorothy, a veteran of 15 years at the store, had checked him out many times before. She greeted him like any regular, with simple weather chat and no fuss. Elvis picked up a basket and strolled the aisles, selecting milk, bread, deli meat, and a few other things. The store was calm that late, with only a scattering of customers. He spotted an older man navigating slowly with a cane, his left trouser leg neatly pinned below the knee. The man wore a worn but tidy button-up shirt, and a small veteran's pin adorned his chest. Elvis couldn't make out the exact emblem, but he knew its meaning. As Elvis shopped, he kept noticing the veteran in various aisles. The man would examine an item, check its price, sometimes add it to his basket, sometimes return it. Every choice seemed deliberate, weighed carefully. When Elvis reached the checkout, only one register was open. The veteran was ahead, unloading his modest selections. Elvis quietly joined the line. Dorothy greeted the man warmly. "Evening, Mr. Peterson. How are you holding up?" "Can't complain, Dorothy," he replied, though his tone carried the weariness of someone who could if pressed. "Body's wearing down, but I'm hanging on." "That's the way," Dorothy answered, ringing up his purchases. Elvis observed the items pass: a loaf of bread, a pint of milk, 2 cans of soup, butter, eggs, just survival basics, no luxuries. When she finished, Dorothy announced, "That comes to $4.35, Mr. Peterson." The veteran pulled out a small snap purse and began sorting coins, pennies into little stacks, then nickels, dimes. His hands trembled faintly, perhaps from age or strain. Dorothy waited without hurry. She'd handled this before. The man murmured totals under his breath. $3.80, $3.90, $4, he continued, reaching $4.20, then paused. He double-checked, emptied the purse. Nothing left. "I'm short 15 cents, he said softly. "That's okay," Dorothy offered gently. "Don't worry." "No," he replied with quiet pride. "I don't accept handouts. I'll remove something." He eyed his groceries, hesitating over the eggs, then settling on 1 soup can. 1 soup's plenty. Elvis had absorbed it all: the veteran pin, the missing leg, the dignity in refusing help, the reluctant acceptance of less. He stepped forward lightly, touched Dorothy's arm. When she glanced over, he shook his head and whispered, "I've got it." Dorothy's eyes flickered in understanding, but she stayed composed. "You know, Mr. Peterson," she said smoothly, "I just recalled we've got a special on soup. Buy one, get one free. That second can doesn't add up. You've got 15 cents extra now. Want to grab something? Maybe coffee? I know you enjoy it." The veteran frowned slightly. "Since when?" "New today," Dorothy assured him, meeting his gaze. His posture eased a bit. "Well, if it's on sale, I could use some coffee. Haven't had any lately." Go pick some up. I'll hold your spot." As the man shuffled back into the aisles, cane tapping the linoleum, Elvis moved up. "How much for everything, coffee included?" he asked low. "Around $5, Dorothy estimated." Elvis drew out his wallet, passed her a $20. "Ring my things separate. Give him his bag plus the change from the 20. Say you misadded or the deal was better. And Dorothy, stock his basket properly. Add whatever makes a full week's good meals. Put it on me." Dorothy's eyes glistened. "You're a fine man, Elvis Presley." "He's the fine one," Elvis murmured, nodding toward the veteran. "He served our country. This is the least." Mr. Peterson returned with a small can of coffee. Dorothy added it, then pretended to recalculate. "With the soup promo, the coffee adjustment, and a little miscount earlier, your total is $4.20. Here's your 15 cents back." She handed him 3 nickels. Mr. Peterson stared at the coins, then his fuller bag, then Dorothy. "You certain?" "Positive," she said firmly. "Well, thank you, Dorothy. Have a good night." "You too, Mr. Peterson. Take care." As the veteran headed for the door, Elvis called softly, "Excuse me, sir." Mr. Peterson turned, eyes widening in recognition. Elvis approached. "I saw your pin. You were in World War II?" "Yes, sir." The man straightened as best he could. "European theater. Lost the leg at Normandy, but I came home, more than many did." "Thank you for your service," Elvis said, the words carrying real depth. Mr. Peterson's eyes misted. "That's good of you, son. I know who you are. My granddaughter plays your records nonstop, thinks you're special. I'm just a singer. You're the hero." "No hero," Mr. Peterson said, shaking his head. "Just did what was needed to be done. We all did." "That's what makes a hero," Elvis answered. "Doing what's needed, no matter the cost." The veteran glanced at his pinned leg, then back. "Cost plenty, but it was for something worth it." "And folks like me live free because of men like you," Elvis said. "I served too, finished recently, 2 years in Germany. Nothing compared to your experience, but it taught me respect for real service." "You were in?" Mr. Peterson asked, surprised. "Just out a few months," Elvis confirmed. "It was an honor, even small." Mr. Peterson's face warmed with a genuine smile. "Then you get it. Putting something greater first." "I try," Elvis said, "but I've got miles to go to match men like you." They spoke a bit longer, 2 former servicemen connecting over shared duty. Then Mr. Peterson mentioned getting home before the food spoiled, and Elvis walked him to the door. Back at the register, Dorothy had rung up Elvis's original items, plus extras she'd added: meats, vegetables, more bread, soup, coffee, for proper meals. "Mr. Peterson left a few things behind," she said with a knowing smile. "Maybe drop them by later? You're headed that way, right?" Elvis nodded. "Glad to. Can't let a man short on groceries." The bill was much higher. He paid without hesitation, carrying 2 loaded bags. As he left, Dorothy called, "I've seen all sorts in 15 years. Rich, poor, famous, ordinary. Real goodness isn't about money or fame. It's what you do unseen." "But you saw," Elvis said lightly. "Maybe," she replied, "but you didn't know I would. You did it because it was right." Afterward, another customer, a woman who'd watched everything, wiped tears. "Sorry, crying like this, but that was beautiful." Dorothy agreed. The woman pulled out $5. "Put this toward Mr. Peterson's next visit. If that young man can give like that, so can I." Others stepped up too, another $5 and more. By closing, Dorothy had nearly $50 for a fund to help Mr. Peterson and a few struggling regulars. Elvis never spoke of it publicly. In interviews about charity, he'd mention hospitals or schools, never these private moments. But those present remembered and shared it quietly as inspiration. Kindness needn't shout to matter deeply. Mr. Peterson never learned the truth behind the sale and miscalculation. He kept his pride, accepting it as simple good fortune. Perhaps that was Elvis's greatest respect, preserving the veteran's dignity, giving back what service deserved without making it feel like pity. Years later, after Elvis's passing, stories like this surfaced among many. Quiet generosities, no fanfare, no expectation. This grocery store evening was one piece of a larger pattern. A man who knew fame brought means, and means brought duty. When Dorothy was asked once why Elvis acted that way, she said simply, "He saw a man who'd sacrificed everything for his country, a man who'd left part of himself on a battlefield so others could live free. Elvis knew no fame or fortune could repay that, so he did what he could right then, ensured a veteran ate well for a week. Not charity, not show, just one man honoring another."